Hi and welcome to another Memories Made video. I'm designer Jen Gallacher, and just a reminder, we're concentrating on title design this month, and I'm going to do an 8.5 by 11 inch layout. I'm going to start with a kind of soft blue, and then I'm going to add a sheet that I've ripped from a vintage dictionary book, and it is not acid free, but it is not going to touch the rest of my photos, so I'm not too concerned about that. And you can simply add it to your page as you would any other embellishment. And I like that it has these holes on the side from the stitching within the dictionary. To the bottom of the layout, I am going to add a American Crafts pattern paper, and it is from Amy Tangerine, and this was the inspiration piece for the colors for this layout. And we are going to put everything on the right side of the layout for some fun. I have printed the journaling on a sheet of white cardstock, and at the very bottom here I've machine stitched, and I chose a yellow that matched the yellow in the pattern paper. And this will be where we're going to place our title. The title that I am going to do today is one that is a combination title. And so I pre-measured where it would go, and I made sure as I typed my text or as you write it later that I had enough room to add both the title and the photo later. To the top area, I cut a piece off the side of an American Crafts mini album, and I have done this several times where I'll just take a sheet from the mini album and I'll just cut it and use it as a part of my layout. Above that, I am going to add some green diagonal pattern paper. This is from an Echo Park Paper and Glue collection. It's a school collection, but this nice green matched what was on the American Crafts. If you find that you have cut too much of the pattern paper, it looks like a sticker sticking to the back, then you simply cut it off. To the top here, I wanted to add a decorative border, and a lot of times you have seen me use some decorative punches. Today though, I used my silhouette machine, and I cut from Dots and Stripes pattern paper from Echo Park Paper this very enlarged pinked strip. And in the software, I sized it so that it was the same width as the pattern paper that I've used in the cardstock. And then I'm simply going to place this behind the cardstock, and again I've pre-measured it, and it is just a lot more dramatic, and this is going to be a page about a boy, so I tried to pick kind of a masculine looking border strip. Across the white cardstock, I'm going to add some Studio Calico. This is in a green that's in this slightly lighter green diagonal, and on the other side you can see it's a multicolored stripe. We'll just adhere this right across. You'll notice that I'm bringing in a little bit of white, and there's also a creamy background, and it works because white and cream is both neutral. Across the top of the squared pattern paper from Studio Calico, I'm going to add a thin strip of green cardstock. And I did not pre-cut this so I could show you how I eyeball and cut. You could also pre-cut in advance if you'd like. To bring in some of the red on the paper, I'm going to use some Jelly Bean Soup pattern paper, and it's a red dot, and it's kind of a tomatoey red. It's kind of a richer red, and it works with the kind of tomato red in Amy Tangerine's collection. I'll just tuck that right behind. And then rather than cut another pattern paper pennant, I'm going to take an older sticker I have from October Afternoon, and I thought it was kind of fun. It's a library card sticker, and I've cut it with the backing intact so I can do this technique. First, I'm going to take some white baker's twine. I'm going to remove it from the backing, and then I'm going to actually wrap the twine around the sticker several times. You can always remove the back of the sticker, the tackiness on the sticker, by using some talcum powder, but I'm just going to lay it back on that background, and I'm going to tie a bow, and then I'm going to manipulate the cording a little bit, and then I'll go ahead and tuck it in so that you can still see the writing. You can see how that looks. And then I'll trim off that excess twine. To the area here, I am going to add a photo. And this photo is of my little guy. To give it a little bit more presence, I'm going to add a chipboard frame over the top of it. And I will need to trim out the photo just a little bit. And I'm just going to hand cut it. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. It just simply has to fit into the frame. So before you adhere the frame, make sure that you've cut enough off that it will do so. You could also use a square paper punch for this step. First, we'll adhere the photo, centering it between the top and the bottom, and then we'll use some glue dots on the back of this frame to help hold it on top of the photo. You could also use red double-sided sticky tape or whatever adhesive you found works for using chipboard elements like this. If the backing is raw chipboard, sometimes it's a little hard to get the glue dots to stick. And you want to make sure when you're placing a frame that the most important part of the photo still shows through. Now for the combination title, I'm going to be using these see-through letters. And I've also cut a die cut that says crazy. And then I'm also going to be using some letter stickers so that it will be, like I said, a combination title. So we'll stick the M out of there, or rather we'll stick the Y and now we'll stick the M. And then for the guy part, it is see-through. So there's a couple of different ways that you can adhere these to your layout. You can use a stapler. If you have a strong enough needle, you can use a needle. I am going to place a glue dot very carefully behind the red letter so that it is not quite as easily seen. And I'm going to start with the center letter. And we'll center that as best we can. And then we'll do the same thing for every other letter. And I'm rolling these up before I'm placing these down so I can get the placement exactly where I want it. Smaller glue dots would also work well. Just want enough that it sticks. But as you can see, you can't see the adhesive too much on the front side, which is nice. And you can overlap these. If you want, you can do them twisted. It's completely up to you. And then for the crazy, I am going to add a little bit of adhesive to the back with my dot roller. You could also use a glue pen. I want to make sure that it sticks. Be careful when you're using a dot runner because the cuts, depending on the font you've used, can be very fragile. And I have used a font that I just like. You can use any TrueType font in your Silhouette machine, and then I typed it out using the text tool, and then I welded it together before cutting it out. And you just want to make sure that as you place the title, that the letters look appropriate. So there's a combination title. To that top tab, I am going to use a sticker from a Simple Stories collection. And it is actually a girl collection, but I'm going to use the word fabulous because that can work for girls or boys. And we'll just fill in that section there. And then to the bottom here, I'm going to add a flare badge and a couple of bingo numbers. And I use glue dots to adhere the bingo numbers. And they're in a fun red color. You could also use sequins or buttons or anything that you want for that part. And then to add a little bit of red at the top, I'm going to add a paper clip, a red paper clip, and it actually does clip just fine through both the frame and the photo. And then to finish it off, I'm going to add some yellow tape from Bella Boulevard, and it is a chevron. And then I'm going to use a Days of the Week tape from KI Memories on top of that. So this is actually a really quick and easy layout. Now, the way you can do combination titles is you can combine things like chipboard or die cuts or stickers. You can add in stamping. You can do multiples so that you could do a couple of words in a font like this, and then you could add in a few things, but a combination title is a really interesting, fun way to add a title to a layout. Thank you for joining me for today's Memories Made video. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out on this weekly video series.